Morning everybody. Apologise for the appearance, it's very early and I'm just starting to decorate and carve a cake, which I did look up for a tutorial on YouTube and couldn't find one, which is often the case, so I figured that actually I would try and do one myself. So I will be making a Xbox Sport Tech wireless controller. So it's not just an Xbox controller, it's a little bit different in the decoration, but the general shape is the same size. So I'm going to just show you quickly what I've done with regards to laying out ready to carve. So let me do that. So as you can see, I've made 2 sponges, 10 by 10 square inch, and put them on top of each other. I've cut some of the top off and added it to the side to give it more of a rectangle shape, just so I can get the whole controller shape in. And I've used cocktail sticks to pin down a transfer that I got off online. I will put the link in below, and obviously thank you to the person that put this on, that enabled me to print it off. So I will now attempt to carve round the shape. Okay, as you can see, I've cut round the template to get the general shape. Now obviously with a lot of console controllers, there's sort of an underneath that's carved out, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try and create that illusion with icing, because otherwise I'll cut too much cake away, and obviously there needs to be some birthday cake. So now I'm going to butter ice it and crumb coat it. Butter ice and jam in the middle, and then crumb coat the top. And I'll come back after that because I'm going to create some definition on the top before I roll ice it. So I'll show you once I've crumb coated. Okay, so as you can see, I've crumb coated the cake. Crumb coating is basically covering up to keep the crumbs in, so when you put the icing on, it doesn't get all over the icing. And also it's great to fill any bumps and lumps. For instance, where I added the extra piece of cake on at the end there, once that hardens up a little bit, it'll have a nice flush edge to it, and when the icing's on, you would never have known that I'd manipulated the shape. So I'm going to put that in the fridge now, just for about 10 minutes before I add some embellishment and then cover. I will show you what I'm going to do next. Okay, so as with a lot of cakes that I make, I try and pre-plan as much as possible, but then when it actually comes to making it, things change along the way. So I can now show you the actual controller that I'm making. I've put the printout somewhere and I'm not sure where I've put it. So what I did was I went online. Oh, actually, I found a colour copy of what I'm making. Excuse the close up. And I printed it off. So I'm going to show you. Okay. So I'm going to hold it up. Sorry, my lighting is terrible. This is the first video I've made. So this, turn it around, is the Xbox Sports Tech wireless controller, which is what I'm making. So it's got a slightly different shape to my template. So I printed it off in colour, then I slightly resized it in black and white, and then if we just go over here, and then I transferred over roughly where all my shapes are going to be, and then I put this on the cake, which I still haven't iced in fondant yet. I might turn the light off, sorry, because no, that's not going to work either. Okay, anyway, and now as you can see sorry, it's my shadow. I'm not doing very well, am I? If you can see there, I've created some definition in the top, which I'm going to now I'm going to attempt to cut away. So I'll do that and then I'll come back. Okay, so as you can see, I've carved out the top to create some definition. Oh yeah, that's better. So I've carved out the top. I've also created a hole for one of the controller buttons, and then I'm now going to create some definition, raised definition on the two buttons to the left and the right of the cross. I've also created a small hole for the X. So obviously when you're doing this, I think when you're making any cake, it's having the right tools sometimes that really help. And this tool here, I'll put a link on down below where you can buy it. It's just amazing. I've had it for years. It pushes icing through a small section in the middle out through various shaped. You get all these with it, various different shapes and sizes. Apologies, I need to have a tidy up a bit. And they're brilliant for grass, for hair, for circles. It's just a brilliant tool, and you just pop the icing in the middle. Sometimes it can, with hair and things like that, you need to a little bit of Trex in there just to soften it up. For this I've used a half disc, or half a circle, and I'm going to squeeze it out now, so I will show you how this works. So you have to, sorry, this is a bit difficult, so you push this down and then you literally, if I start it properly, you see, you start squeezing and you can see the shape is coming out as a half circle. I want to say that's probably going to be enough. I'm just going to stop this and then I'll come back. Oh, I'm still going, I didn't realise. So there we go, that's come out, and I mean it's come out, so I mean they come out really, you can obviously line it against a ruler and then that makes it straight. So now I'm going to pop that round these circles and then I'll come back. Okay, so as you can see I've put the two rings there. They don't have to be perfect, it's just so when we put the icing over there'll be some definition. I think that's everything. The other buttons I'm just going to have raised out, so I don't need to create any definition for those. So I'm going to put it back in the fridge now to set again, and then I'm going to cover it in white fondant. Okay, so the cake is now hardened up. I need to probably give it a few minutes to soften up a little bit so the icing will stick. And I've got my white fondant there. I've used 1 kilogram of fondant for this, and this is just a tip that I use. So I get some string and I measure sort of the longest point across and the longest point down, and I use that as my guide for the fondant. So I'll just show you. So basically measure from here to here with one piece of string, and then from here to here with another piece of string, and then that gives you a rough idea so you can measure it against your fondant once you've rolled it out. I'll show you once I've rolled it out and I'll lay the string on top of it. So as you can see I've measured my string out, so that gives me a rough idea of how wide and long I have to roll my fondant, the length and the width. And I've dusted the work surface, and now I'm going to roll it out. So as you can see I've rolled it out, and I'm going to pop it over and smooth it down. I could try and film this. Unfortunately I don't have a tripod. Okay, so I've managed to find a tripod, which is going to help things. And now I'm just going to, this is when I realised I didn't put enough sugar down on the board, on the thing, as it's slightly stuck. Don't be afraid. Ever since I've been making cakes, I remember when I first started I was always really nervous. Oh, it's slightly stuck, unfortunately. pliable. So now some people like to roll it on the pin, which is quite helpful actually, because then you've got something to help. So I am going to do that. You can see where it's got slightly stuck. Anyway, let's have a go. So bring it down and then over. Now obviously we've got these definitions. So I'm going to have to do that again because that bit is really raised. So I'm just going to quickly put some of that on there. It's good. It's always good to see. Never ever goes right the first time. Let's go this way. Try again. Right. So as you can see, now as I said, this is quite thick, this fondant, which is good because then you've got all these bits where you need to define. Now I tend to work my way round first of all, just bringing out the creases. Obviously don't be afraid. If your fondant's thick enough, you're not going to get any breakage, which is good. And obviously don't worry about any lumps and bumps because this can all be sorted out with a smoother. So you can see here I've got a crease. So I'm just going to just bring that round to get the shape. And then, oh yeah, so here is our hole where our, so we just have to define that. These are our, so using the finger, just, because obviously, this is the definition part. I mean, your hands are your best tools really when it comes to doing shapes. That's my personal opinion. And now we're just going to go over and make sure, oh, and then we've got the little hole for the X. Again, just using your finger. I've got quite long nails, which probably isn't ideal, but now I've got some, I don't know what that is. This is the problem you get with the white. You have to be really careful because you get lots of marks that show up. Anyway, now I'm just going to go around the edge and still no, 3 minutes. It's not too bad. Hopefully you can see all of this. Just turn it around a bit more. See, as you can see, it's getting the definition. I mean, a lot of this is going to be covered up with decoration, and I just want to get my I'm going to get my smoothers, straight one and a round one. These are really good, obviously, just to give you a bit of, and that's what's good about the round. Which one? See here, you can see it's not really stuck very well to the. Better off using my finger around there. Okay. I mean, I have another tool actually. which I'll put descriptions and links where you can buy all these things. Most cake crafters have all these anyway, so I'm going to use this to get some definition for the where I'm going to be putting. If you define too much, you can just okay. So now I'm going to cut away my excess fondant, and then I'm going to leave this to dry because I need to draw on it, and I'm going to leave an edge first of all. I don't cut right to the edge first time. Well, she says that she just does it. I try and leave a little bit to work with in case I cut too much away. So yeah, I think that's pretty good. So as you can see, there we go. So that's ready to decorate now, but as I said, I'm going to leave it to dry. Okay, so I've started decorating the cake with some embellishments. Obviously, as I don't have the definition, I'm creating my own definition. So as you can see, when you look at the picture there, there's the green in between, in the middle, and then there's the grey on the edges. So this is what I've done here. I've done a piece of green in the middle. So yeah, so I'm just putting some edging around it now, and I'm using the tool, and I'm using the smallest circle, and I'm trying to do it in one go, because it's just to try and neaten it up a bit. And I'm just sticking it with a bit of water. So that's the first bit of decoration. Okay, so as you can see, that's the first bit. Now I'm going to make these bits now next out of grey fondant, which I've actually made myself by mixing white fondant and a little bit of black fondant. Again, I will list all my ingredients and everything that I use down below. Okay, sorry, I got a bit carried away and didn't obviously say what I'd done. Anyway, so for these, I rolled out grey fondant thick, and I used this cutter, and then I used this cutter to create the circle in the middle, and then I used this sponge brand new to kind of create the effect around the edge, as if trying to recreate this here. I might just add a little dot in the middle as well. And then for this, I'm actually going to paint this silver across. What I did was I scaled down that copy so it fits the template on the computer, and I traced it, and then I cut it out, and then I used that to cut the black one out. And then with the white dots that you can see, which again, so you've got the X, Y, A and B, and then the two dots, and then the X box. I literally just rolled white fondant roughly to the size and sort of shaped it into a circle. So now I'm going to just make sure everything's secured down, and I'm going to start using edible pen and paint to try and recreate some of these effects. Oh, and also I'm going to work on this bit here. I'm going to create some what do you call them? This part of the controller where you press it here with the grey, and then there's also another bit of green here, like the front. So I'll come back and show you when I've done that and explain how I did it. Okay, I jumped forward a bit. Sorry, just finding it hard to film and do it at the same time. So now I've created the back of the box, the controller. I'm just going to put some buttons on here. Again, I've just literally used tracing paper, just worked out where to put things, used my tools. It's just a case of kind of moulding things, but keep looking at the reference picture and then working it out from there. So I'm going to add these buttons on, and then I'm going to try and do the front with the paint. Okay, this is the finished cake. Apologies, but I wasn't able to show each part as time's ticking, and it's 20 to midnight and I've got work tomorrow. So basically I used this template, and I used one of these, this one to be exact. For instance, I cut that centre out here to use as a guide for that. With the detail that you see here, I traced it and then I cut very thin lines. I haven't done the middle section because I feel that would be pushing it, but I've just done the outsides. And I used this silver pen, which to be honest wasn't very good, although it did give me enough of a guide to then go over with silver dust, which I've mixed. And yeah, I'm pretty impressed with it. I think it looks like it is, and I'm hoping the birthday boy will be impressed too. So yeah, anyway, if you want to make one of these, good luck, and hopefully my tutorial will help you in some way.